If your RC scores are low, even though your English is good, maybe you're not understanding what the author's really saying. Or if your marks swing wildly, on good days you get 3 or 4 out of 4 questions, but some days you're getting only 1 or 2 questions right in an RC. It needn't be a vocabulary issue or maybe the passage is hard. It can be because you're not locking into the author's point of view. I've been coaching verbal for a decade, and it's a pattern I see repeatedly. Once students use my POV method, they go from an average 2 out of 4 in an RC to at least 3 out of 4 questions right, effectively doubling their score just by changing the way that they read. Hi, I'm Sanjana from Mockat, where you get coached and mentored by 99.9 plus percentilers. I take the CAT exam every year with my students, and I get 15 out of 16 questions right in RCs by following the author's point of view method. And in this video, I'm going to teach you this exact POV method so that you can read like a 99 plus percentiler, avoid the traps that the examiners set, and make RCs your highest scoring section. Let's start off right away. The author's point of view is nothing but their view or opinion and the relevant supporting points. These could be reasons or causes, advantages, disadvantages. That really depends on the RC itself. And I do have dedicated videos where I've explained the techniques for the POV with examples. But in this video, we'll solve a CAT RC using these techniques, and I'll try to explain it to you as we are reading and solving. So at this point, you can pause this video, click on the link given in the description or the pinned comment, read the RC, and then we shall solve it together. Now for me, before I read the RC, I usually spend 20 to 30 seconds scanning just the questions. And that is something which tells me which parts of this 500 word long RC I should focus on. For instance, here, I can see that the first and the second question are inferential or big picture questions, which means that I need to lock in the POV to solve them. Whereas the next two questions have a specific sentence from the passage itself, which means that we've got to focus a little bit more on that part. So think of reading the questions as something which is, like giving you a map as to where to drive so that you can focus on the right parts and read faster and yet boost your accuracy. And now let's start off with the RC itself. Make sure that you've paused and read the RC. Now in the first paragraph, the author is giving us a couple of examples. HBO Max has basically been removing some of their shows. Netflix might be editing old episodes. And this is something which is sort of feeding into people who have been warning that streaming was more about controlling access to the cultural commons than expanding it. Now, commons is something where everybody has access to it or rights over it. So here we can think of it as, media or shows which anybody can access. And these people had been warning for long that streaming platforms had been controlling access. And now they are able to sort of feel vindicated. They're able to say, hey, I was right. I told you so. But remember, this need not be the author's view. It is these people's view. So I'm going to keep an open mind and read till I find whether the author agrees with them or disagrees. Because in a CAT RC, it's only the author's view that matters. And the second paragraph makes that clear. If you see, the author's referring to this as cultural ills. So that means that the author's at least agreeing that them sort of like, controlling, removing, editing, whatever is a negative. And then on top of it, the author doubles down and says that a lot of people feel you can have physical media as a cure or as a fix, but that need not be the right one. What's less clear is whether this fix is the right one, which means we are not sure if this solution is the right one. So now I will start writing. So here I have a problem, which is that streaming platforms, I'm going to write streamers in short, control the media, or rather the access to the media, and doesn't look like we have any alternative solution. Why? Blu-ray discs may or may not last for a century, especially seeing that the DVD is something which is not lasted. If you switch geographies, you might lose access to even something that you have paid for. And even if you get some right-free content, either the content might decay or corrupt, or those file formats simply might not work later. So in a sense, these entire two paragraphs are telling us that we don't have any other solution. I'm really sorry for my handwriting here. Towards the end, the author is connecting this to the past by saying that even in the past, either intentionally or through accident or because of negligence and all, a lot of these movies have been lost. But the last paragraph is very important, not just because it's the conclusion, but here, if you can see, the author is actually contrasting it with this one by saying that back in the past, people felt that a film was gone. Once it's left the local cinema, once it's left the local theater, it's gone. Now that's not the case. So now what is happening? Audiences are questioning, or they are going to question, especially when the studios are keen to talk about all their back catalogs, which I'm interpreting as, oh, all of the movies or shows and all which they already have, right? Their back catalogs or their past catalogs. So given that the film studios themselves are talking about the entire breadth or all of the shows that they have, why are they controlling access? Why are they, if you see there's a metaphor over here, setting the vault alight, or rather burning the vault, which probably has all of the negatives, again metaphorically, burning that, or setting fire to that like Charlie Chaplin did, just to help with their revenue. What's next quarter numbers? Probably the next quarter revenue. So this is a problem. Streamers and studios, they are controlling media access. They are doing this for their own revenue or their own profit. And unfortunately, we as the audience, we don't have any alternative solution. But unlike in the past, we are not going to sit quietly. We are probably going to ask them questions. So this, in a sense, is the author's view. And you'll see how I'll use it to solve questions. The first and the second question are inferential questions, but the second question is more straightforward. Which of the following statements about art, which probably again means media or content, best captures the arguments made in the passage? Given that we already have the arguments in the passage, we can just read through the options and try to find the answer. And if you see, the first option is perfect. As art is increasingly created, stored and distributed digitally, access to it is counterintuitively or illogically likely to be made more difficult. Why? Because of two reasons. One is the churn or change in technology, and the second is the host platforms, which are nothing but the streaming services. So this is a right answer because it captures the author's view very well. Now, if you look at the other options, they are basically traps. This one, of course, is easy to eliminate because it's factually incorrect. It is not that earlier classic works of art were unchangeable and easily available to the public. In fact, we've been told once a movie is gone, it was gone in the past. So this is easy to eliminate. These two also, if you see, these are basically conclusions based on what the author is saying. It must remain available in perpetuity. Making changes is dangerous. But the key message is something which is given out here. And now that we have understood what the author's view is, let's go one step further and figure out which of these four options will invalidate the author's view. Main argument of the passage again is something that the author is making, which is that this is a problem. So now we are trying to find something which invalidates or which counters this view. And if you see, the first option is doing exactly that. If studios and streaming services are saying, we are going to give you platform independent access to whatever content you've paid for forever, right? Perpetual or forever. Then the entire issue that the author is concerned about is completely gone. So this has got to be a right answer. Whereas 2, 3 and 4, all of these are tackling only smaller parts of the problem. This is tackling the Blu-ray disc part. This is speaking about, cloud storage, so you can save it perpetually. This is speaking about switching to locations. But if any of these is true, that means that there are still other parts of the problem to be solved. So, even if I can go to a different location and still have access to what I've paid for, what if that particular platform simply removes it or edits it, for example? So these three we can eliminate because option 1 is completely destroying the author's view. Now that we're done with a couple of questions, let's look at 3 and 4. Now these questions are what I call meaning in context. This is not vocabulary. You cannot go for an answer which gives you the direct or the literal meaning of the phrase or the sentence that the examiner would have chosen. You got to answer it in context. So here, this question is asking us, why has the author given this example? And this is a very common type of inferential or meaning in context question. So here, The authors using this example along with the HBO one to tell us that the people who had long warned that streaming services were controlling access to the cultural commons are now feeling vindicated. So the author's purpose here is to show that those people who had been warning us against streamers, they are the ones who, as I said, now they're able to say, hey, I was right, I told you so, look, they're controlling access. And that is something which, if you see, is there in option 3, to show a practice that justifies the fears of people who feel that streaming platforms cannot be trusted to be custodians of cultural artifacts like film. So in short, people who were afraid that streaming services cannot be trusted to hold on to content, now they are saying that, hey, with this example, they are saying what I told you was justified. Justified is nothing but another word for vindicated. So this becomes the right answer. Now, in case if you are being pulled towards option 4, streaming services are controlling access to the cultural commons rather than expanding it, understand that this is not what the author is saying. This is what these other people are saying. So from their perspective, this is fine. But our question here is not what those people feel. It is basically, why has the author given this example? So the author has given this example to justify this practice. So as you can see, we don't want to go for a direct meaning, and we also don't want to fall to some of the common traps which the examiners have. So what is the trap they've used here? They've basically used exact words from the passage, which a lot of times are used to make a wrong option more attractive. So just make sure that you watch out for this. Now, if you feel that this is something which you do fall prey to, like, you're not able to eliminate, I will be having videos where I'll be explaining all of the elimination techniques, again with CAT RCs as examples. So just make sure that you subscribe, or depending on when you're watching it, you might already have the videos and we'll link those for you. Now we can, of course, if we've understood the RC, we can of course eliminate these two options. So now let's go to the fourth question. Again, the question here is, which of the following statements is suggested by the sentence? So they're not asking us what does this sentence mean. And remember one more thing, see, when you have words like ephemerality, if you don't know the meaning, it really doesn't matter. A lot of times, we might feel that vocabulary is stopping us. But here what is happening? They've explained it. The sense that a film was as good as gone once it left your local cinema. So that means what? It is not permanent. It is temporary. A film comes and then it goes. And that's exactly what ephemeral means. So a lot of times you'll be able to infer the meaning of a word or a difficult sentence from what is given around it. And it's something which we do in every class. But now coming back to this question itself, they're not asking us what this sentence means. They are asking us what is suggested by this sentence. And that is why, again, you have to look at it in context. Here, this particular sentence itself is referring to the past. But the author has mentioned the past only to contrast it with the present by telling us that back then people were maybe okay with this, but now they are not. Now they might start to question, why is it that streamers or studios are controlling access? So we want to look for an option like that. And that, if you see, is given in the fourth option. Today, films are expected to be available for a long time because they are no longer tied to their stay at the local cinema. So this becomes the right answer, as opposed to option 3, which is basically the direct meaning of this particular sentence. Now, in case if you're now thinking, then why not option 1? Option 1 is a little extreme. We can't say there is no reason. We can say there are fewer reasons or something like that. It's okay to basically phrase it like this. But whenever you have something very extreme, something is, the best, the worst, it is most useful, most likely, there is no reason, always watch out. This is one more of the elimination technique. So if you do feel that elimination is an issue for you, just make sure that you're subscribed or you check the video if you are watching this a little late. So that's it for this RC, and hopefully the POV method was useful for you. You can try out more RCs like this or check out this video where I've explained the POV in detail with examples.